This book has two epigraphs, one from Robert Penn Warren and one from T.S. Eliot, that read together, "What is love? One name for it is knowledge. After such knowledge, what forgiveness?" I mentioned that my father is also a poet, and this is a poem that makes use of a line from one of his poems. And I'd like to also say to the young woman who asked earlier about if you already have it mapped out, a poem, or if you begin with an image and figure out where you're going. I think about Mark Doty's idea that our metaphors go on ahead of us. And this is very much the case with this poem. I was very drawn to this particular drawing that the poem begins considering, but I didn't know where it was going to take me. And when I sat down to write it, I thought, well, here I go again. This sounds very much like a Natasha Trethewey poem from Belloc's Ophelia, because of the subject matter in some ways. And I worried about that, and I sat down with Elizabeth Alexander, the poet, and told her that I was having this problem, and she said to me, whenever she feels that she's doing that same thing, writing the same kind of poem she's done again and again, she lets the seams show. And so I thought about that, letting the seam show. So there's a moment in this poem where that seam is going to show. You're going to hear exactly the revelation that happened to me about why I was drawn to this image I couldn't stop looking at. It's after a chalk drawing by J.H. Hasselhorst, 1864. And it has a line from a poem of my father's. Knowledge. Whoever she was, she comes to us like this. Lips parted, long hair spilling from the table like water from a pitcher, nipples drawn out for inspection. Perhaps to foreshadow the object she'll become, a skeleton on a pedestal, a row of skulls on a shelf. To make a study of the ideal female body, 4 men gather around her. She is young and beautiful and drowned, a Venus de Medici risen from the sea, sleeping. As if we could mistake this work for sacrilege, the artist entombs her body in a pyramid of light, a temple of science over which the anatomist presides. In the service of beauty, to know it, he lifts a flap of skin beneath her breast as one might draw back a sheet. We will not see his step-by-step parsing, a translation, Mary or Catherine or Elizabeth, to corpus, areola, vulva. In his hands, instruments of the empirical, scalpel, pincers, cold as the room must be cold, all the men in coats, trimmed in velvet or fur, soft as the down of her pubis. Now one man is smoking. Another tilts his head to get a better look. Yet another at the head of the table peers down as if enthralled, his fist on a stack of books. In the drawing, this is only the first cut, a delicate wounding, and yet how easily the anatomist's blade opens a place in me, like a curtain drawn upon a room in which each learned man is my father, and I hear again his words. I study my crossbreed child, misnomer and taxonomy, the language of zoology. Here he is all of them, the preoccupied man, an artist, collector of experience, the skeptic angling his head, his thoughts tilting toward what I cannot know, the marshaller of knowledge, knuckling down a stack of books, even the dissector, his scalpel in hand like a pen poised above me, aimed straight for my heart